going to do some algebra review. And one of the things we're going to review are rational exponents. They're also represented by radicals. So it says a definition of a to the 1 divided by n is that the radicand takes on the exponent, the numerator of the fraction, and the denominator is the index of the fraction, so of the radical. So that says this is a, the nth root of a to the 1. So a to the 1 over n is a radical. So anytime you see a fractional exponent, fractional exponents are radicals, and vice versa. So if I look at negative 32 to the 1 divided by 5, negative 32 is in parentheses, so that's what's inside the radical. The numerator is a 1, that is the power on the negative 32. The denominator is a 5, that is the index on that radical. I'm looking at the fifth root of negative 32 to the 1. Negative 32 to the 1 is just negative 32. The fifth root of negative 32 is just negative 2. Convert. 25 is being raised to the 1/2 power. So that says I've got a radical. What's under the radical is that 25. The power on 25 is 1. The index is 2. This is just really the square root of 25, which of course we know is 5. This is 16 to the 1/4 power. Again, I'm dealing with a radical. What's under the radical is what's in parentheses. The power on the parentheses is 1. The index on the radical is 4. It is the fourth root of 16, because 16 and 1 is just 16, which again is 2. The same is going to be true if you're dealing with fractional powers like a to the m divided by n. Now, here's the difference. In a sense, there is no difference, is that if I look at it, what is raised to the power, the argument, or the base here, the exponent, the a, is raised to the m power. That's the numerator, and the index is n. What they're trying to point out here is that I do the power first, and then this is the radical. And sometimes you're going to find that's an easier route to go, but most often it's this, where you look at this guy is really being a to the m times 1 over n. Or it could be, because of the property of multiplication, 1 over n times m. This would say you do the radical first, then you do the power. That's usually the easier way to go, and that's represented by this. It comes from the property of exponents. A to the 1 over n raised to the m power. There's your radical, raise it to the exponents. It's easier to simplify. So for example, this is the 3/4. Well, 256 is a perfect fourth. So you're going to take the fourth root first, then you're going to cube it. So fourth root first, then cube. And it comes down to 64. Of course, our calculators can do that rather nicely. If I were going to put this in my calculator, however, I'd have to do this. It would be 256 raised to the, and I'd have to make sure I put 3/4 in parentheses. Otherwise, the order of operations would come into play. So if I had 256 raised to the 3 divided by 4, what it would say, it would do this first. And then what it would do is divide by 4. So you want to make sure that the exponent is in parentheses. So in this case, 9 is a perfect square. So if I just don't look at the numerator, just look at the denominator, that's square root. So what I want to do is I want to take the square root of 9, then cube it, which is 3 cubed. 3 cubed is 27. Now this is a little different. Notice the minus is outside the parentheses. This is saying take -1, then multiply it times 27 to the 2/3. This is a completely separate, these are two separate things. And powers get done before multiplication. So this then it becomes -1, take the opposite of. Now, 27, if I again cover up that 2, it's a cube root. 27 is a perfect cube. So this becomes the cube root of 27 being raised to the 2 power, which is -1 times cube root of 27 is 3 squared. Again, powers get done before multiplication. -1 times +9 or -9. Now this is 32 to the -2/5. Now remember what happens with negative exponents. The 32 is going to get moved to the denominator. And now we still have this game going on with the radical. If I cover up the 2, that's a 5th root, and 32, 5th root of 32 is 2. So I do the 5th root first, square it. 1 over 5th root of 32 is 2 squared, which then becomes 1/4.